funds and put them into a long-term plan to help pay as we go on these projects, and I think we could be doing, I think we should have been doing that. But also, I'm here to tell you that, I believe that, that I'm gonna challenge the state reps and senators about dropping that valuation down. If the cost of living rate is 3%, 2.7%, what have you, and we're hitting 5 and 10%, we're getting all this extra money in it. So if it goes to bonds, I don't have a problem presenting that to the taxpayers, but it's a decision they should make. And if the taxpayers turn it down, I'll never go around the backside and do a certificate of obligation, ever. I think it's inappropriate. It's part of the procurement world anyways, and it tells you in the procurement world. It's pretty simple. If you bid something out and it doesn't work out for you, you keep it, and that's the way it is. But I'm ashamed that happened, and it's not how we operate. And to me, that's part of being conservative. You do that, you're not conservative, and you can say you're conservative, but you're not. And so, I think there's ways to fund things. I would like to fund a lot of projects, pay as we go, but we need to really put a plan together for short-term, long-term, and the short-term plan is this. The thing you run into, and I respect what these guys have to do, the commissioners are elected by the precinct, and they're gonna operate that way. The idea is to say, okay, guys, you need your maintenance money, I get that, but what can we do for long-term plans? We need to all invest that, and we have to determine where the needs are, which precinct that we need them, what roads there. We need to do a true mobility transportation plan, and we need to invest in it, and we need to invest other people in this community in it. So
you kind of touched on it then, but in the past, since you've been involved, how do you understand that the money is divided precinct-wise? In other words, the income comes in, do they battle it out? Do they battle it out behind closed doors? Do they battle it out in the commissioner's court? Or how?
You mean should they or are they?
How have they been doing it, and how would you suggest that it's done?
well, part of what I was talking about, how they do it right now is they just split it evenly. So it's kind of a more of a parochial type system that's set up, and I think that, like I said,
Does that make any sense, other than there's four?
Well, it probably did in the past, a long time ago, and because when we really weren't building roads, and we go that far back, but now that the county's so diverse and so different, and it's growing, I think that they have to have money to do the maintenance of roads. It's important to maintain the roads, but they're also building roads in there, and I think that needs to be planned county-wide with the process. So no, I don't think that they should just evenly split it 25% like they have been. I think you need to look at what needs to be done and get them to buy into that. It'll be difficult because you only have one vote up there, so it's really difficult to, I think, bring them together to do that is important. I also think we have a lot of problems within the county on traffic right now, and we need to find a way to relieve that. And the more and more roads and toll roads we build, the more and more we're going to bring people inside. So we need to do something about it.
Along that same line, because I've got a couple.
Yeah, go ahead.
Along that same line, what's your understanding in the past of the Commissioner's Court dealing with GHAC and
HJC?
HJC.
Yeah, Houston, Galveston County.
Houston, yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, there's not a lot of money out there. It used to be years and years ago that you could go and get some projects taken care of pretty quickly. Now you can't. But at the same time, if you're going to sit at the table on HCAC, you need to bring some money home, okay, and to the county. But it's just a decision process how they do that, and I'm serious when I say there's a lot of organizations there all the time dipping into those funds. So, I would think I would concentrate more on with HCAC about our internal county needs than the external side of the county. I'm not against toll roads if they pay as they go, what have you, but I'm just saying I think we have more needs inside the county on transportation.
So let me ask you this: what made you decide to switch from working as an employee and running for office? How long have you been thinking about it, and what made you?
Well, honestly, I haven't been thinking about it really long. It's not something that's ever come to my mind. I'm not a career politician, I'm a businessman, I'm working for government, working with taxpayers, I'm a public servant, and I think that public service is something that politicians need to remember what they are primarily.
So what made you decide to jump in? And then why this one? Well, I understand why this one, but what
Well,
made,
but this one
what pushed you in? Because it's a gauntlet.
When I approached people that I work for and laid out some things in reference to these projects, and they didn't step up to the plate, it irritated me. And you gotta do the right thing for the right reason. And I'm willing to step up and take a $25,000 pay cut, because that's what I'll take to take this job, because I know I can make the difference of it. And like I said, I never thought about being a county judge. It wasn't something I thought. I had other plans later on in life. But I'm the right guy at the right time to do the right thing. And I know it and I understand it. And I'm not...
So what made you realize that, okay, this is...
Honestly, woke up one morning, told my wife, I said, it's time that we try to make a difference and make a change. I've been blessed with the county. And I've made good money with the county. And let me see if I can give something back. And this job, I can do this job without no problem whatsoever, because of my background comes with it. I'm very transparent about things. I may be so transparent when I come to your house, you might close your door. But I'm going to ask people to invest in the county. And that's what happens. And I have tremendous respect for what y'all are doing here. Taking your time in your life to do the things you're doing right now is very important. I see that. And being on the inside, I see how important it is. I also see how important it is that if you're going to sit up there and you're going to make decisions, it's very easy to make the right decisions. All right? And for me, I have no vested interest with anybody out there. When I got hired in '92, one of the first questions they asked me, are you related to anybody in the county? I said no. They said good. And I just think that this job needs to go in a different direction. The county needs to go in a different direction. The county is diverse now with the number of people, over 500,000. It's not like it was before. We need to be able to reach out to them, and I just don't want to see things running the way they were, basically.
Yeah.
You made a statement, answered, I think, Ken's question, that along the lines of counties receiving more money than needs, you see that we can cut the budget.
Yes.
So where do you think the fat is?
Well, without actually getting into the budget and seeing that, I don't really know where that's at, because I don't, the budget is one of those moving targets to me. I understand it comes in at $279 million. I see the money coming in, but I'm not sure where everything's actually going. When I say that, I've been always trying to get my hand on what the real debt is in the county, and I know we pay $40 million a year to pay down the debt. But my position on that is, I think that it's great to have a low tax rate, or a tax rate that we do, but it's not right to have the appraisals continuously going up, and to me, that's where the fat is. So, to me, that's my opinion on that.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that the fact of the matter is, we government always saying, well, we're holding our tax rate, we're holding that tax rate all the time, but your valuation of your homes keep going up. And it's going up, it can go up 10%. I don't know about you, but every 7 to 10 years, your taxes will double. You know,
We understand that, we
Well,
understand
you
it
know,
completely.
Yeah, I'm just saying, to me, that's a problem, and that's not how we're supposed to lead. We're not supposed to say to you, the tax rate is, our tax rate's fine, when we know we have a problem, we should be addressing the state about those issues, about dropping it down to at least 3%. All right, and I think we can live with that. So the fat, basically, in there would be to sit down with those departments, actually look at them. I understand how they operate and what their needs are. You know, there's a lot of things you can do to fine-tune budgets. And until I can actually sit down and look at them, I really don't know. I could through attrition for sure. Okay, there's no question through attrition we can do that, and I think we can consolidate people together, and I think we can run leaner, and you can get people to buy into it, and I really think you can. So,
James?
You know, none of these,
We've been going 30 minutes.
none of these precincts own an asphalt mine or a concrete mine, yet a number of them feel like they have to own highway equipment to pave roads and that sort of thing. But you know, they're not really in that business. So my question to you is, would you agree with them basically bidding out those projects, or is there some reason we need to buy and maintain expensive highway or road building equipment?
well, we have contracts for asphalt contracts, concrete contracts, we have those types of contracts.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of their equipment that they have is not large enough to handle the big projects. It's more small projects, repairs and things like that. But one of the things you could look at is more of a unit type system in government. Whereas you have a department where all your equipment's at, and you work on it like Fort Bend County does. They have a unit system, and all the commissioners have all the same equipment, and they share the equipment based on what projects need to be done at the time. The equipment can be very expensive. We need to certainly have equipment around during emergency operations, because you need certain equipment, but not paving. But you know, some of the equipment is pretty expensive. I've seen some of the equipment go up, like the grade all equipment when I came to work was $125,000. Now it's $280,000.
Well, see, it's not being used daily, it's sitting idle.
Right.
That's a very dumb investment in my
Right.
mind.
That's why sometimes with the unit system, you can share the equipment.
Dennis?
Are you familiar with Steve Toth's Firearms Protection Act that he introduced last year? Local representative?
I don't know everything about it.
Well, anyway, it says that the state of Texas is not gonna go along with laws that it considers to be unconstitutional. And there are a number of counties where the conservative members have asked counties and cities to pass resolutions that say that, you know, we're not gonna recognize federal laws that infringe on the Second Amendment or that promote the UN Agenda 21, which includes some of the things HGAC does. So if those types of resolutions were brought to the court, would you vote to sign those?
Would I vote to?
Just to
Would you support
obligate
them
the
or oppose
county
them?
not to enforce federal law? I mean, there's only so much you can do anyway. What it really means is the county is not gonna allow its people to cooperate with the federal government on those things,
I don't have a problem with that at all.
and it's not gonna fund those sorts of things.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff at all. I really
Yeah.
don't.
All right, related to, water, it's a big issue.
Major.
Putting in a massive pipeline, what are your views on that and the rates that are going up?
Well, I wish I knew more about the big water line that went in, and, the county waters, we deal with, water wells through our environmental department and septic, but in utilities, the county government's not in utility business. But that said, I'm not sure how much water that's gonna take out of the lake, how much impact that's gonna have. I mean, it's bad enough we're 4 feet down now, and we can only pray that this rain picks us up. I can't imagine, since it's a reservoir, what's gonna happen there. I don't know what their plan was, whether the city of Houston's gonna be giving us the 2/3, and we're gonna make a deal to get all the water out of that lake.
Because we get it all,
We do?
yeah,
So they made that deal.
yeah.
I don't know, I just think the way they're handling, this is just my
But it
opinion.
wasn't free for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I just don't like the way they're handling it. You know, construction, to me, should be handled a little differently. It costs, you should go in construction of big projects like this, or any big projects, you should go in and move your utilities out of the way first. You should go in and do acquisition. Once you've got it all placed, then you go and you do construction. Because every time they do construction, you're gonna run into something that's not in place. And they have a lot of right-of-way for that going in. It's a pretty massive line. It's you know, it's kinda like this. I don't know how you can say in the state of Texas, we're gonna take $2 billion out of the rainy day fund, and this will guarantee us for 50 years. There's just no way you can put a plan together like that for 50 years. I just don't see it. So, I don't know if this resolves our issue. I think it just moves water from one location to another, which we need that, but I know they've talked about trying to move water into the lake from some other where, but when you do that, you're gonna impact something else someplace.
Larry, go ahead.
Budgeting, in your procurement, purchasing agent, and then, you know, your director of infrastructure, to what degree do you get involved in the budgeting of running your department?
I get involved in all the departments under infrastructure, and I get involved in a lot of the space planning, so I'm very involved in the budget process. To the point that when I make a presentation, that I'm actually putting the actual dollars down and itemizing what they're for and how they'll be handled, so.
Dale, go ahead.
Okay, as you're well aware, business connections, government officials and their business connections and how they might be conflicts of interest has been a much discussed topic in the public. Because of your position in the county, a lot of people could consider you to be an insider and subject to the same issues that have concerned them about some of the existing commissioners. I think you made some reference earlier about financial disclosure, but how much of a financial disclosure do you think would be appropriate to maybe allay some of those fears, to answer some of those issues? Do you have any business interests? Do you own any company stock, anything
No,
of that nature?
No, I don't. I don't have any business interest with anybody. I don't have.
Why don't you answer the first question, how much disclosure is appropriate? He kind of jumped to two questions.
Okay, full disclosure, I don't have a problem with anything that anybody asks about my financial background. I never had an interest with any business person. Matter of fact, I go to lunch with one person only. I don't go to lunch with any vendors. And we take turns paying back and forth, and I have receipts to back it up when it's my turn to pay. And that particular vendor that I do business with there, he's not even in the county's ad valorem part of the business, so. Otherwise, I do not go to lunch with anybody, so I don't have a problem with full disclosure on anything on the business aspects of it. I don't have any, I don't do it. It's a conflict of interest for me when I was a purchasing agent to be able to do other business. And everybody did work and they did what they did, but I thought it was a conflict of interest because I'm the one making decisions on contracts and making presentations, and I just didn't do it. I never have, and I never will. And I won't be any different if I'm fortunate to get this position.
So all we have time for now, I think it's just kind of about a 3-minute wrap up. You know, what you think we missed or what we need to know, or.
Well, I could probably elaborate more on the Joe Corley mental health facility, how things went down there, but I would ask those of you that haven't seen the YouTube see it. It explains a lot more to it.
So if we go to YouTube and type Bosma, we'll find it.
You go there and hit Mark Bosma, you'll find it, and you'll see it on my business card coming out, and you'll see it on my push card when it's coming out too, because you know what? Nothing else, people need to be educated in what's going on with their government. The fact of the grand jury getting up and doing what the grand jury was, I was pretty proud of those people to get up and do what they did. I was very disappointed because I believe there should have been criminal charges, statute of limitation let them off, because the word was no applicable charges. Okay, so I hope that the civil side will get our money back, and I got to tell you something. I'll pursue that as far as I can, but the law allow me to pursue it. If I become a county judge and it gets stalled down, to me, it is what it is. It's $16 million. Chances of us getting it, I don't know. I mean, you know, people close business, they do this, but I think the fact of the matter is that the public needs to know the truth. And, you know, if I was wrong and I lied, then how come I didn't get sued? I mean, I went up there and I did what I did because it was the right thing to do. I'll always do the right thing. It's easy for me. We may not agree, but we'll learn to agree to disagree. And I'll have an open door policy. I'll encourage people that way. Like I said, when it comes across the table in Commissioner's Court, I understand it. I've been presenting it for years. I'll have to learn things, we all do. But one of the key factors of the county judges is emergency operations, your emergency operations. I've been through 2 hurricanes and a flood we had here in the early 90s. And I put a lot of contracts together. I know where to go to get business done. I know who to talk to. And I think if you speak with vendors, they'll tell you I've been fair, but the county's been taken care of. And I don't have a problem with people making money in business. That's what they're supposed to do. But my responsibility to the taxpayers, and I've always taken care of the taxpayers because that's who I work for, and I'll never forget that. So.
Can I understand? Ask one thing. Give us just a real quick generalization of your campaign.
How you'll be running your campaign.
How are you going to reach the voters?
That's what I've been doing for the last month and a half. I've been having meetings like this with people, and not just being vetted, but I'm just saying meeting people. That's what I started out doing. I need to get my groundwork to see what people thought of me. I've had a lot of positive push on that. I'll go to forums. I'm visiting people. Like I said, I'm going to be walking, and I'm going to walk hard. And I know the place I need to go to walk. I wish I could get more people invested than 7 to 12% of the people in the county to vote. I think I wish people would invest more in time into it like y'all did. I appreciate it. Certainly I have signs. I'll actually put some signs up, and I'm actually going into territories that probably some people would never go into to put these signs up, but I'm going. I know who's coming to run this race against me, and I know he's not a conservative, and the fact of the matter, I'm going right in his back door to put up my signs to send the message, and I'm gonna fight hard, but I can't do it without help. There's no question. People need to step up in this county if they wanna change, because, you know, I'm here, I'm willing to offer something that they don't have today, and I'll be the same all the way through it. And I believe in term limitations, and I'll tell you that right now. Twofold. Number one, the voters have the right to limit you, and the candidates should limit themselves. And I really believe that. I mean, there's a new generation that comes all the time. Doesn't mean it has to be a young generation. It's a new generation. And we need to have new ideas, because the county changes. And as it changes, we need to have people in place to do that. So,
How many terms would you be talking about?
I will do 2 terms, and maybe a third if asked to do that by the people that put me in office. But if not, 2 terms, that's 8 years. I think it's fair enough that I bring 28 years already.
Right.
I think I can clean things up the way they need to be cleaned up, and I think I can get things on track. But I'm gonna ask you all to invest in what I do. And I'm gonna have an open door policy, because by no means am I the smartest guy in the world. I just know more about the government internally than most people do. But it's our county, and that's the way I believe, and I'll always believe that way, so.
Go ahead, and I'll see if Mark's around.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll go.
But that's who I am. What you see is what you get, straight up. You know, and conservative, I've never thought about what is conservative. That's just who I am. It's how I act, it's what I do, it's how I present myself, it's, you know, and it's always been important to me what my family thinks. First God for my family, and it's always gonna be that way. And it'll be God's decision whether I win this race in my mind. And that said, if not, then he has other plans for me. But he had plans for me to step up and do the right thing at the right time, and I did. And my wife told me, she goes, "No, Mark, what goes around comes around. God will take care of it." And I said, "You're right." And I think God has asked me to step up. Because truly, if I'm not here today, James Nowak's not in office today, $16 million walks away, and there's no telling what else would have happened. And that's what I truly believe. So I was here for a reason. I hope it's for more than just that, but I don't know, so.
Well, we probably need to wrap it up, because
Can I
Mark's
ask
out
a
here.
quick question? Why the county judge, why the judge position, why not commissioner?
Because commissioner is in today's world, they're parochial.
What precinct are you in?
I live in precinct 1.
1, okay.
Yes. And I think the county judge's position, and one of the questions asked, do you think it's doing enough? I say no. I think I can bring people to the table because I'm transparent enough, and I know enough about the county that I'll ask questions publicly. They'll force their hand, and it won't embarrass them, but they'll do the right thing. I just think that the county judge's position is a position that, on the administrative side, I have a lot of background in. And certainly I feel like I do the commissioner job, but I don't think that's my calling on this. And like you asked me, I never thought about the county judge's position, but I feel like I can provide something that no one else can at this time. And I'm not saying that someone else can't come in and do it, but I just think my experience can get this county where it needs to go, and I think we need to do that.
Well, we appreciate you coming out and running, and
I appreciate you all taking the time to do what you do, and I'm sure I didn't answer all your questions the way I needed to, but, you know.
Nobody does.
Well, if they